"Bring me his corpse," he commanded, his voice echoing through Vatican halls. The year was 897, when Pope Stephen VI's eyes darkened with vengeance. Servants dragged Formosus's rotting corpse from its grave, dressed it in formal vestments, and propped it before a tribunal. "You stand accused of serving multiple dioceses simultaneously," Stephen shouted at the decaying body, as horrified witnesses looked on. The spectators gasped as Stephen's rage culminated in his verdict: cut off his fingers of consecration, nullify his decrees, throw his body into the Tiber River. In the Vatican, destroying a pope's name meant erasing his very existence. Panic erupted in 533 when Cardinal Mercurius faced an existential crisis moments after his election. "A vicar of Christ cannot bear the name of a pagan deity," cardinals shouted, their faces contorted with horror. "This is blasphemy!" Others cried as Mercurius stood frozen before his accusers. "I shall be called John II, he finally declared, his voice shaking yet resolute. The tension dissolved instantly, but no one realized this desperate solution would transform into the Church's most powerful tradition. By the 16th century, each papal name had become a carefully calculated message. "He chose to be called Pius V," cardinals would whisper. "Expect strict doctrine and fierce defense of tradition. Leo X, he'll engage with princes and scholars across Europe." Others would nod knowingly. Every newly elected pope abandoned his birth identity, selecting predecessors' names with strategic precision. The tradition provided stability through centuries of turmoil, each name carrying the weight of history. The shock was palpable in 1978, when Cardinal Luciani shattered this carefully maintained system. "John Paul," he announced, deliberately honoring reformist predecessors and making powerful enemies. "He's challenging decades of tradition." Conservative cardinals muttered angrily in ancient corridors. When Luciani died mysteriously after just 33 days, rumors spread quickly. Was it poison? A conspiracy? Yet, against all expectations, his successor, Cardinal Wojtyła, didn't retreat in fear. "I will be called John Paul II, he declared defiantly, proving that not even death could stop change. The revolution gathered momentum in 2013 when white smoke signaled a new pope. "Francis," announced the ceremonial voice as spectators gasped in surprise. "He chose a name never used before," the crowd murmured excitedly. "This signals a complete break from the past," experts explained, as the humble name of Assisi saint resonated in a world facing climate crisis and inequality. Pope Leo XIV, came the announcement in 2025, explicitly connecting to Leo XIII's response to the Industrial Revolution. He's preparing the Church to confront artificial intelligence, analysts declared, as the naming tradition continued to evolve. Through 20 centuries and 267 popes, one sacred boundary remains uncrossed by even the most ambitious or revolutionary leaders. No man has ever dared name himself Peter II. The Apostle Peter, appointed directly by Christ as the rock upon which his church would be built, holds a position so sacred that claiming his name would suggest equality with the first vicar of Christ himself. Such presumption would border on blasphemy, cardinals whisper. An unforgivable arrogance that could invite divine retribution. Even during the darkest medieval power struggles, the most corrupt Renaissance schemes, and modern reform movements, this invisible line remains uncrossable. What began with a terrified cardinal's attempt to avoid blasphemy has evolved into the papacy's most powerful, unspoken rule, that some names carry too much divine weight for any mortal man to claim.